we see in the application that you are a bit overseeing this part. This is particularly for innovative projects. Risks are key, and we ask you to really think about business and financial risks. Everybody has in mind market risk. Everybody has in mind regulatory risk. But also securing your funding is a risk. The fact that the bank can tell you last moment no. The fact that the equity investors might not join your club. So for this kind of project, it's better to identify and spell out the risk and try to mitigate it credibly rather than simply not mention it. Because the expert will say, okay, but why they didn't identify this risk? And you lose important points. You're not failing the project for this, but you're losing important points that can make a difference in the final score. So also, be mindful of what I have said before about admissibility and eligibility. Minimum documentation requirements, business plan, financial model, detailed financial model, and now project funding support. So, and heads of terms in terms of supply, fixed of supply, electricity supply, and the offtake agreements as well. So, have a look at the context, have a look at the relevant cost methodology guidance that you will see, you will find on the portal. Here we have some. Sorry, because I think my slides are not the ones that doesn't matter. So I will say something very important. You will find it in the slide that it will be circulated later on. When you speak about financial maturity, and in general, but I speak for financial maturity, you have three components. So you have these three pillars in terms of content. In terms of how to apply, you have a narrative, part B. You have data, financial model, and detailed financial model. And you have evidence, letter of support, offtake agreement, offtake MOU, supply MOU, heads of terms, EPC contractor quotation. So these three pillars, the narrative, the data, and the evidence, should be consistent. And these are the three main contributions to the credibility of your financial maturity. Here, it's about the cost efficiency accumulation rule. As you know, right, part of the score in the innovation fund is linked to how much money you ask against how many GHG emission you will avoid with your project. We are trying, of course, to reward those projects that against €1 they will avoid more CO2 emission tons, right? So this is the principle here. What is, it's an automatic, based on your data that you include in the financial model and your application, it gives an automatic, there is a score that is based on the whole various CRs that are submitted in the portfolio, but what is the key here is other public support. In case, and we receive a lot of questions about that, and that's why we try to expand on this. So other public support is should be in the numerator in general of the cost efficiency ratio calculation. There are some, why we are concerned about this accumulation. As I said before, right, the public support to private sector projects triggers state aid. If, in addition to the innovation fund, you have other public support, we have to check that still the project is complying with the accumulation state aid rules. This is not us to check it. It's a relevant authority responsible for this that we have to say this, not at application stage, but later on in case it is awarded. But that's why I know it's not very evident why we speak about state aid and on top of it about accumulation. So it's extremely important. We have here developed a short chart, a small chart to explain, right, in case your project receives public support in addition to the innovation fund, there is, as Lorena mentioned earlier on, a double funding issue in case you receive other public support from other EU programs. But there is also accumulation of state aid in case you receive national support or free, in the case of the free allowance under ETS that some of your projects receive, there is no state aid, no need to include it in the cost efficiency. In the case it's national support, it is a general measure, then no state aid, no need to include it. If it is state aid notified or not, then it is actually to be watched. If you don't know, you have to ask your competent authority if it qualifies as state aid or not. So, also, since a silly question, but it is not, the main question is the support for the same project? Sometimes applicants are receiving money for a pilot, for the demo plant, and then they submit to the Innovation Fund the industrial scale-up. If the scope of the Innovation Fund project is just the industrial scale-up, then there is no accumulation of state aid because we are talking about two different projects. If, on the other hand, your scope, the scope of the Innovation Fund project that you submit, includes some part of the demo plant, some part of the pilot plant, then it triggers accumulation of state aid. So it's important to answer your question. I will not go into the detail, but is the support for the same project. And here you have a little bit of further, based on the experience we had in the previous schools, we have expanded the way that we guide you on this accumulation of state aid, because it can become quite complex, particularly when it is, for example, in the tax credit form, it comes at operational during operations only. So it's actually, I will not get into the detail because it's quite late and also it's quite complex. I advise you to read the relevant cost methodology guidance. There is a full chapter on public support. It's absolutely well explained what you have to do what in which case.